I think folks are tired.
Time to blow it up.
Welcome back to another episode of The Truth TV. I'm True Fisher, and today we're about to talk about something that I think Black Americans have grown tired of hearing. We've grown tired of hearing the whole "y'all have no culture" thing.
African Americans in this country are the only groups. They have no culture.
I want to know what is the Black American culture. I keep hearing this culture.
You're black. You're not Trinidadian. You're not Jamaican. You're not African. You're not word. You're not Ghanaian. You're not Dominican. You're not Puerto Rican. You're not Cuban.
Saying all this while dressed in Black American culture and speaking in Black American culture is very wild. And if I'm not mistaken, Casanat, he has, Black Americans on his platform all the time, basically making his money off of Black American culture. You see? So we are getting tired of all of this. And the guy that we're about to talk about now, and he's a Black American himself, two black parents. His name is Plaqueboymax. Now, it may be play, but it's spelled Plaque, so it's Plaqueboymax. And he's basically was on stream saying that everybody wanted to be from somewhere else. He didn't have any culture. He didn't grow up with any culture. While speaking in his culture, and basically living in his culture. But I think it's crazy that every time you turn around, somebody is always saying that Black Americans have no culture. At some point, I'm starting to think that it's a way to get a rise out of Black Americans. And
bro, everyone want to be from somewhere, bro. Everyone wants to be from somewhere, bro. We all want a place to belong. Imagine growing up with no culture, gang. Nigga, I grew up with no culture. Bro. I didn't know where I was from.
You are from West Orange, New Jersey. That is where you're from. However far down your lineage goes here in America, that is where you come from. You have culture. So y'all heard that, and I still remember when Casanat had went on his, Black people have no culture rant, and people kind of had a fuss about that, right? But I'm going to read the definition of culture. Culture is the arts and other manifestations of human intellectual achievement regarded collectively. The customs, arts, social institutions, and achievements of a particular nation, people, or other social group. So, with that being said, the culture that we have in our community is that of the music, the language that we speak, hip hop. We got hip hop, jazz, rock and roll, country, our Motown, things like soul, gospel, HBCUs that's for us, right? Supposedly for us. That's that's an institution built for Black people that's supposed to be within Black culture. Ebonics, AAVE, fashion, soul food. We got a lot in our culture. And people, for some reason, don't understand, what consists of a culture. They just think that because they see other people doing other stuff to celebrate their culture, that what we do to celebrate our culture isn't culture. Now, after, he went on the rant about, him not growing up with any culture, he decides to, I guess he been seen walking with a Chinese drill rapper for 4444. And she told him that King Von himself taught her how to rap in a dream. Y'all, this was very weird and unhinged little interaction. She don't speak English, so she has a translator, which, she's Chinese. That is what that is. But his excitement to me is just off the chart weird.
What city do you want to go to in America?
你最想去哪个城市？Chicago。
Chicago.
Chicago.
Oh yeah. See, I'm trying to. I'm about to get slammed out today. I'm trying to tell y'all. Okay, wait. So look, how did you learn how to rap like that? Like you really nice. Like you feel me? You got your like.
就是我刚开始做说唱的时候，然后我有一天梦见 King Von。真的。
She said when she just started, she had a dream about King Von.
Yeah.
You had it.
It's ready.
You had a dream about King Von.
Yeah.
And
然后他教会了我，传授了我一些说唱技巧。
And he taught her inside her dream how to rap and some skills, some rap skills.
Yeah.
yo, I need you to be on your best duty today, sir. You think I'm playing? Okay, so look, right? In the dream, what happened in the dream? Could you tell the dream?
就是我在睡觉，然后他像那种阿拉丁神灯的那种一样飘到了我的窗子里。
So she was saying King Von in her dream was like that genius come out from the.
Oh, the
pot.
genie. Wait.
Yeah, the
so
genie.
in the dream, King Von was a genie, and he came out of pot. It was a regular pot, or was it like goddamn shit? What they got in Chicago?
A knocker.
Deep dish pizza box.
Yeah, just the pot.
Just the pot. All right.
Then he taught her how to rap.
What city do you want to go to in America?
So not only is he saying that we don't have a culture, he's parading around with somebody who's using our culture, for their own gain. And it seems like she is trolling him with the whole King Von thing, because the way they got the laughing and stuff just didn't really make a lot of sense. Like, you had a dream of King Von and he taught you how to rap. And this dude believed that. Now, although drill music isn't everybody's cup of tea, it is a subsection of rap music, which is our culture. Not everything of everybody's culture is going to be good. To highlight just the bad things in Black American culture, does the conversation a disservice, because there are bad things in everybody's culture. There are bad individuals in everybody's culture. The crazy thing is, the bad of our culture is what gets propped up. That way everybody sees it. That's why when people from, other countries get to talking about, we don't have no culture, or only thing that's of our culture is butt shaking and guns, pulling guns and all that. That comes from the mindset of, I only know what I've seen off TV and hear on music and hearing music. They, we have a rich culture of fighters, people that fight for, stand 10 toes down for what they believe in and what they want. The fact that immigrants was able to come here was due to Black Americans fighting for the freedom for people to have, for the freedom for people to get here. It was the freedom for us to be able to move about this country without scrutiny, but it also extended to, to allow people to come in, that birthright citizenship. And that's our culture. I feel like a lot of people don't do much research on Black Americans or Black history, and that's where this whole conversation of no culture comes from. And I also feel that when people think about, the broader United States of the American culture, they look more so at, white folks and, what white people do. Because we'll often hear, people say that we don't control nothing. Well, at, 13% of the country, we're not really going to be controlling much of a country that we didn't start off controlling, or we didn't cause a coup of some sort. Of course, we're not controlling anything, right? But and that's the sucky part, is that the culture that we create, it usually gets controlled by them folks. That's why oftentimes when you will see people doing it, I remember when the whole thing with the TikTok dances was going on, and all the Black TikTokers kind of went on strike because they was making up dances, and white TikTokers was getting brand deals and put on, talk shows to do the dances that Black people made up, and they was not doing them right. The flavor wasn't there. So Black folks stopped making up their little dances. But I mean, that didn't last long. But that was still a thing. Just the way Black folks dress, move, dance, again, is culture. Once again, not everybody's culture is going to be good, and not everything of everybody's culture is going to be good, and not everything of everybody's culture is going to be bad. If you come here thinking that Black Americans are some sort of way because of what you've seen on TV, then you fail to look into who Black Americans are. We have Black American icons that have done great things. Black American inventors that have invented stuff that people use throughout the world. So to say Black Americans have no culture, I feel that all of that needs to stop. Y'all telling us that based off what y'all see on TV is what our culture consists of, would, basically be if we all went around saying all Nigerians do is scam. That, when we know that that's not true for every Nigerian. And we know that there are some people within our own culture that scam. We also know that there are people in every culture that scam. So that because it's called a Nigerian print scam, we would go around saying, well, all Nigerians do is scam. They don't. That's their culture. That's what they do. They scam. But we have contributors who would be the king of things like rock and roll, but the title was taken over by Elvis Presley, right? Was given to Elvis Presley. I won't say taken over. Was given to him. Little Richard, crowned himself the king of rock and roll. I'm about to read, this about Little Richard. Little Richard is widely recognized as the architect of rock and roll, and frequently hailed by peers and critics as the true king and queen of rock and roll. His 1950s work with frenetic piano and shouting vocals laid the foundation for rock, soul, and funk, influencing artists across generations. That's all artists of cultures and race alike.
You know that Elvis Presley and Pat Boone sold more Tutti Frutti than I did, and I wrote it and sung it.
Did that bother you?
No, it didn't. It made me feel good. They opened the door that was locked and I couldn't get in. And I took the Beatles and Mick Jagger with me. Mick Jagger was living on a truck. I had Jimi Hendrix playing guitar for me. I had Billy Preston on the organ, James Brown, and Joe Tex was my vocalist. I had all of them. That's the reason I'm the king. All of them came from me.
And not even only that, with the Super Bowl. The reason that the Super Bowl is what it is is, because of the work of the Wayans family, which I don't think they get talked about enough for their contributions within the industry, but they're the reason the Super Bowl is as big as it is, why people tune into it.
The Super Bowl halftime is one of my proudest moments of the show.
Keenan and Eric Gold and those guys came up with the idea to do the halftime show because they had bands, marching bands playing. Yeah.
Yo, you know I'm frosty and I'm talking to you all. I'm your fresh prince for the winner, chilling out, standing tall. Iceman.
They got with Doritos and I think Pepsi, somebody else, and they was like, we're going to steal the audience.
Anything that ever went up against the Super Bowl would die. We saw a window, which was halftime, where people normally got up to pee.
And Living Color was at its biggest. Yes.
We would put our half hour right from the time the play stopped till it started. We put a clock up so people would know when to turn back.
Our Super Bowl countdown clock. It'll be coming on later in the show to let you know when to switch back to the second half. You won't miss any of the senseless brutality.
And it was like, we going to take that audience and bring them to In Living Color and did a special In Living Color halftime show.
When halftime came, the entire audience for the Super Bowl turned their channel to In Living Color.
All the viewers scattered, left the Super Bowl, went to Fox, watched this hilarious live In Living Color episode. Yeah, so we stole the audience.
And it was this little show that took on this giant and crushed.
And the next year, they was like, y'all ain't never doing that again. And they paid the biggest star in the world.
They hired Michael Jackson
to come do the halftime show.
And every year since, they've had a humongous star.
Do you think that was the beginning of the halftime show as we know it for the NFL?
Absolutely.
We're responsible for halftime now being this huge event.
Usher, Dr. Dre, J-Lo, all you people that are doing the halftime show, hope you got a big check. Thank you, Keenan. Thank you, In Living Color.
So without Little Richard, there's no Elvis. Without the Wayans family, the Super Bowl halftime show would probably still be what it was back then, before Michael Jackson. Once again, another Black American person that shaped something. I don't think the Wayans family, that wasn't their plan, and I'm pretty sure it probably wasn't Michael Jackson's plan to shape something, but all of them together, but separately, shaped that. I really don't care how big the contribution is. It's still a contribution. Without Big Mama Thornton, there's no Hound Dog. And it's a lot of inventions that, Black Americans have made that people use around the world. Without them, those wouldn't exist. So that language do need to stop. Or at least, read up on Black Americans. And I want to know y'all thoughts on this situation. I want to know y'all thoughts on people saying that we don't have culture. Let me know down in the comments what y'all thoughts on that. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And hit, subscribe to my YouTube channel. And hit the notification bell because I will be back with another video.
The Truth TV. Subscribe, like, and comment.